Good afternoon, and welcome to the National League Division Series pregame show. This is our first game of the day. Steven, it's go time here. It's time for the
Yes.
National League to take charge and take their games, their first games. And obviously, it starts today with the Milwaukee Brewers and the Atlanta Braves.
hmm
Hi, everybody. My name's Aaron as well, joined by Steven. Um, Guys, we got a treat tonight because obviously we got two games. This is the earlier game as well.
hmm
So, Steven, we got to get in these two teams, and these guys today, obviously, shout out to the Brewers this year. They
hmm
really made their mark, and congratulations on winning their division.
hmm
The Braves, obviously, not far behind them as well. Um, yes, they had just finished, had a streak of their NL East titles erased now as a new championship, as a new champion has taken their spot. But obviously, any team that has Freddie Freeman on it as well is as dangerous as it can be. Obviously, they're fully healthy. They have weapons. We know they have a man that you were going to definitely talk about named Ronald Acuna,
hmm
who's done a lot of damage for them as well. Talk about this Braves team and what do they got to do today? Obviously, somebody's going to come out of here on top. And
Yeah.
what do the Braves got to do if they want to take care of business in Milwaukee? Because remember, they have the same scenario as well. They're starting on the road, so they are the road team as well. What does the Braves got to do to get this going today for them?
Yeah. I mean, their bats. I mean, they're sort of three-headed monster. Freddie Freeman, Austin Riley, and Ronald Acuna Jr. is just it's scary for opposing teams. So I think they those guys, if any one of them gets going, it's gonna be good news for the Braves. But I obviously the highlight for me, I mean, Austin Riley's had a great year, great contact hitter, fantastic on base percentage. But man, Ronald Acuna's had a fantastic, I mean, over 100 home runs, almost 250 RBIs. I mean, he's been a little bit cold lately, but that guy, his bat is live. And so, especially in this series where I'm not quite as high on either of these teams' pitching staffs. I know, and we'll get into this more, but I know that the Brewers they have some pitchers that have been productive, but I think this is going to be an offensive series. I really do. I think especially for the Braves, I think they're gonna put points on the board, and wouldn't be surprised if you see games with multiple home runs, especially from the Braves. Another player that I would just be on the lookout for, uh, uh, definitely, I think Dansby Swanson. He's been
Oh
doing
yeah.
really well lately, and not only with his fielding, but he's been really productive offensively for them. So they've got a well-rounded starting lineup. But what about you? Who do you think is the standout player for the Braves?
Um, obviously you said I think we both can agree Acuna, man,
hmm
is just incredible. I mean, obviously we saw what he did in the postseason last season. Very much, obviously the Braves were up in that series until the Dodgers came back and gave some life to them as well. But also, let's talk about Jock Peterson here, because
hmm
Jock Peterson is on this team. I think obviously everyone knows that a lot of people call him Jocktober for a reason
hmm
because he's come through with some big hits. He's clutch hitting, just some of the most immaculate home runs anybody's ever seen throughout the postseason. I got to give him some credit as well. I feel like he's been doing great since he's been there. Obviously, he got traded there again as well after getting moved. After he decided to go to Chicago and then from Chicago to Atlanta. I think he's a good impact as well. Also, Austin Riley. I mean,
Yeah.
Austin Riley out there, not with just because he's at 33 home runs. I mean, he's doing everything right. He plays the game right. Terrific third baseman for them. Great on the defensive end. Obviously, got over 107 RBIs, and
Mhm.
I expect him to be very much alive as well. I think that whole crew of Swanson and Riley and Acuna right there is their bread and butter of this Braves team. But
The only
obviously,
thing I
yeah,
would I would say just offensively for the Braves,
yeah,
they don't walk a lot. So that's the one thing is this team, they like to swing the bat. They don't,
yeah.
they you don't see a lot of walks in this lineup. So that's one thing that I would just, keep an eye out for. You're going to see this team swing the bat a lot. If they're not making contact, it's especially if they get down in games, it's hard for them to put runners in scoring position if you're not taking a lot of pitches. So that's just something to keep an eye out for with the Braves. You got a lot of their productive bats. If you look at their statistics throughout the season, you don't see a lot of these guys with with high walks on the year. So just keep an eye out for that today.
Also, can't talk about the Braves without Charlie Morton, right? I mean,
Hmm.
Charlie Morton, obviously he's been great as well. I mean, I feel like obviously the Braves have a little bit more advantage over the Brewers as well. Just obviously their starting pitching's been a little bit more solid.
Hmm.
Charlie Morton 8-3 this year with a 3.06 ERA. He's been terrific. Obviously, he's only given up about 6 or 7 hits in his last probably the last 10 games or so they've played. So I definitely see that Charlie Morton could potentially go deep in this game for them as well. I
Hmm.
think I feel like obviously, I mean, guys, you're going to hear us say this the whole postseason is pitching is everything. And this is
Yeah.
the first game right here. I mean, how much do they let Charlie Morton pitch in this game? I'd say if Atlanta wants to solidify this lead, if they can get a few runs on the board, don't be surprised if you see Morton pitch at least 6 innings, 7 innings right there because postseason baseball, pitch count does not matter, especially if your rotations are in order and everyone's
Hmm.
pitching on their normal rest. It does not matter. They'll let them throw 115 pitches. I mean, you're here to win the game. It doesn't matter
Yeah.
how you win it. It just matters to get the last three out of the inning. So, I feel like that's
Yeah,
the
Charlie
Braves thing.
Morton. No,
Yeah,
you're so right. He needs to. The thing with him though is he's a high strikeout guy, and so I think the one thing to keep an eye out for is a lot of those pitchers when you get to the postseason, you'll see their coaching staff tell okay maybe try to get the batters to chase a little bit, and if he tries to sort of stray away from his bread and butter and tries to throw pit paint the corners of the strike zone a little bit, you might see you could see him possibly struggle if he tries to sort of switch up his style because he goes for the strikeout. That's his mo, and just be on the lookout for that early on. That's what I'm going to be looking for. If in that first inning, if you don't see him just attacking that strike zone, I'm gonna be a little worried. It's gonna be can because like you said, if he can make it 6-7 innings, that's a key for the
yeah,
Braves. They need that out of him.
absolutely. Let's get into the Milwaukee Brewers here. Obviously, you
Hmm.
got to start with their offensive firepower, but also not just their offensive firepower, but one particular player. Obviously, Yelich has been the
Hmm.
subject. Yelich has been a subject as well this year. Had a terrific year last year. Had a terrific year the following year before. What do you think honestly has been going on with Christian Yelich? Do you think it just he just in a bad slump this year? Do you think he's just got to make some mechanical adjustments? What's your honest take on what's been going on with him? And it just a lot could say. I mean, he has been Mr. Brewer for them before, but
Yeah.
obviously, I know you have to put the regular season to bed because it doesn't matter what happens now. Everybody's at zeros. But do you think just needs to make some adjustments more, or do you think he's just not seeing the ball? I mean, I think it could be a mixture of both of them. What do you think?
I think it's interesting. He's having a career year in walks,
Yeah.
and to me, I think that he's almost trying to see the ball too well. I think he's maybe not attacking the ball as much as he might have, a couple seasons ago. And that's okay if you're trying to get yourself late in the count, you're trying to see more favorable pitches, but it just seems like he's almost laying off of pitches that are hittable balls in an effort to get deeper into a count just for the sake of getting deeper into the count. And
Yeah.
that's fine, but like you said, I mean, this is postseason baseball. Like, if you're a pitcher, we need you to pitch 115 pitches to get the win. For Christian Yelich, it's, hey, if you get your pitch early on in the count, you swing. It's like and so I think that it's one of those things for him. I'm looking for him to be aggressive, like you said. Everybody goes back to zeros in the postseason. He needs to attack the ball. This is this is something where I'm looking for him to sort of hit the reset button and turn it on and really attack the plate. And I think that's something that he can do. He's capable. He's young. He's not even 30 years old. So the story of his career hasn't been written yet, but he's definitely somebody I'm keeping my eye on today.
Absolutely. I just want to see him turn it around. I mean, he's too good of a talent. He's too good of a talent as well, to just have such a terrible regular season and let it fall into the postseason. I mean, I feel like he's going to turn this around as well. Obviously, they have other guys as well. Obviously, their biggest bat right there is Vasil Garcia, which has been he's been huge for them as well. 29 home runs, 262 batting averages, with 86 RBIs driven in this year. He's been terrific for them. I feel like he's been a big part of their team, a big part of their big bats as well in the lineup. They love to hit home runs too. I mean, they're no joke. I mean, I think they were fourth in home runs this year in the National League. So they are very much a power hitting team. I feel like, if Milwaukee, obviously, with their pitching as well, not only with the hitting and the pitching, I feel like Corbin Burns as well. Obviously he hasn't had a terrific, I'd say a perfect season the way he'd want to have it. 4-4, it's better than going, 4-5, vice versa. So, it's, you have an even record and that's all you can control. 2.85 ERA as well, over 124 strikeouts this year. What do you think? I mean, if you're Milwaukee here, what are you telling him today, to go out there and attack? I mean, obviously you're going to see some strikes today. Hopefully an even game with, obviously we don't know who the umpiring crew is yet for this game, but I expect him to go out there and just, at least try and do your best you can, and really find the strike zone as well. I think both sides are obviously going to be jittery, but what's your take on Corbin Burns for his season this year, and what do you think he's got to ultimately do? I mean, to hopefully let Milwaukee ride him out.
Yeah, I mean, I think Burns is obviously the best pitcher on their staff in terms of controlling home run hitters. He's had the lowest home run total. He's given up the least amount of home runs in terms of that pitching staff. So I think that what they're trying to do is take a little bit of the wind out of the sails of the Braves. I think that, obviously, like you said, I mean, the Braves are the away team, but, you don't want the Braves to get any momentum. If they hit the long ball, that's going to give that team juice. And so you want to sort of keep them at bay, and you want, and I think Burns is going to do a great job of that. However, I think strategically, this is also really a good thing for them because it saves Freddie Peralta and Woodruff for games 2 and 3. And, that for them and that staff, I know we talked about it with other games, with other series in the postseason, but managing pitching or pitchers is so huge. And I think that this is going to be a well-rested staff. My only question is, can they keep Atlanta's bats from catching fire? And I think that, today's going to be it's going to be an interesting indication for how the series is going, because if Atlanta starts hitting the ball deep off of Burns, he's the best out of the staff at keeping the ball inside the park. So if they have a huge day offensively today, I think it could get a little bit ugly for Milwaukee in games 2 and 3. So we'll see how that goes for them.
early score predictions. Who you got winning this game today?
I to me, I'm gonna go with the Braves. I really like Atlanta. I like Atlanta in this series. I think that I know that they're the underdogs in this series. However, I like their pitching staff. And I think today it's gonna be a high scoring game. I know my last prediction when it came to a score was terrible. I think I predicted the Yankee wild card game was gonna be
Yeah,
like a 10-run game, but and boy, I was wrong. So I'm not gonna give a specific score prediction, but I would not be surprised if Atlanta scored 5 or more runs today. I wouldn't be surprised. I think that they have that capability. What do
I
you
feel
think? What
like
do you think?
I mean honestly, and I gotta go with you. I know we're not always on the same page with who we're gonna go with, but I'm actually gonna sit here and go with you. I think Atlanta's got a lot of potential on their team.
Hmm.
They have big bats, obviously. I just feel like they're gonna simply out hit Milwaukee. I mean, obviously, pitching is everything, and we'll see what happens. So,
Yeah.
I definitely say Atlanta feels good about game one, winning this, at
Hmm.
least having a 1-0 lead on the series. But you know what? We will have to find out what happens as well. Also, make sure you guys tune in later on. We're going to have the Dodgers and the Giants pregame show as well coming up for you. But that's going to do it for us for our pregame coverage for the Milwaukee Brewers and the Atlanta Braves. For Steven and myself, my name is Aaron. Enjoy the game, guys, and we will talk to you later on today.